This is an emergency broadcast of the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. This is not a drill. Remove any children and pets from your home and go to your nearest shelter. Remember to at all times listen to the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. And whatever you do, do not under any circumstances trust what you see.
There we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Uncovering Anomalies podcast.
Yeah.
That is Adam over there. I am
everybody.
Topher, and we are so thankful that you are listening.
Dude,
So
that
good
was
to have
awesome.
you folks.
Yes. Always great to have you folks. It's been a crazy week.
There's been a lot of things going on this week.
Oh, it's been insane. I couldn't get my eyes off my phone. It was too addicted to it. You know what I'm saying?
You sent me so many links this week, and I had a hectic week at work, so I barely got a chance to even address my phone. I was getting phone calls and emails and texts and messages, and I was just, I couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, and with what was happening in the UFO world, there's just too much going on.
And once again,
global.
We record, for those who want to know some behind the scenes stuff, we record on Sundays.
Right.
Everything seems to happen on Mondays. And so we're always it always feels like we're behind. And so we're playing catch up for the rest of the week.
Exactly. And that's what this is too. And if you're busy at work and I'm busy at work, imagine just, other people that don't even have this podcast to listen to. There's a lot going on this is great for them to get caught up.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's why we started this podcast.
Right. Exactly. It's just like a nice roundup or mashup. But because I was just putting up so much stuff and commenting and interacting, because I want our voice to be out there, with this, based on talking about the whistleblower that came out and the debrief, right? Yep. But because of that, there's going to be mistakes happen sometimes with some, tweets, and that did happen, by the way. Pretty much drama yesterday. There was, the WAP files. We talked about him last week.
Yeah, we talk about him every week.
Yeah, we love him. Anyway, he had a show about backwards speech. And I was like, whoa. And he talked about the science about it. Now the CIA knows, and about this guy who went and talked to politicians. Anyway, he had a clip on there about Lazar. And there was like 3 of them where he's like, it's a scam. Backwards speech. I mean, I'm a fraud. Like that.
Scam.
Yeah, exactly. In that weird backwards. Like something like that. So I was like, whoa. So I put up there kind of as a question, but I guess I didn't word it right. I said Lazar caught scamming in backwards speech. Should we try this on Grush also, or Grush? And then, man, people start going nuts. I have my doubts about Lazar, but this is ridiculous. And someone's like, get off the drugs. And then,
I think so. Because you're you and I'm me, we tend to question the narrative. And so when a big story like this comes out, we're always looking at the other angles to see, what could this, possibly be? Is this Project Bluebeam beginning? Is this CIA disinfo? And so we're just, we're just asking, we're just trying to come at it from all angles.
Exactly.
But, I guess, and criticism and feedback is really important from the UFO community, because, people have had all these experiences. And I think everyone at the end of the day, they want to know the truth.
Yeah. And emotions are running high with this one. So, intelligence officials, and this guy, he's come out on Monday, right after our show.
Literally, it was the day after. I couldn't believe it.
So it started on the debrief, right? Apparently, these are the same writers from the New York Times 2017 article, if you remember that one about the Tic Tac.
Oh, so of course I do.
Yeah, so it's those 2 authors. They apparently, the New York Times passed on it, and Washington Post said okay, but then they wanted more time. For some reason, they got pressure to release this. Something to do with Grush and his. Am I saying that right? Is it Grush? Is it Grush?
Grush. What's so embarrassing is I've watched so many YouTube videos and interviews with this guy, and I think it's Grush.
Grush, that makes more sense. and that there was, I guess, because he was being harassed. There was something where they didn't have time anymore. Washington Post said, "Listen, we need to verify some more things." Anyway, they went with the debrief, and yeah.
So I heard. So I've been in. I don't want to say incapacitated. That sounds like I was passed out all weekend.
Yeah.
There was supposed to be a big. I think I sent you the link. There was supposed to be a big New York Times article about this, but yeah. There's a lot of major news outlets. I mean, now here we are, almost a week later,
right?
Talking about it, and now almost it feels like everybody is talking about it, which is good. It's a good thing. But yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
There was something about New York Times. They were delaying it, and also what was the other news?
Washington Post.
Yeah, Washington Post. They weren't delaying it. They were just trying to get more information. Yeah, verify it before they published it, which is good. That's a good thing. I mean,
so there was a reason that we don't know that they wanted it to come out, and that's why they released in the debrief. So I mean, just to summarize for, I guess, the ones who haven't heard about this,
and I hope you have at this point.
He's a highly decorated intelligence officer. The whistleblower, David Charles Grush, 36, a decorated former combat officer in Afghanistan, is a veteran of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and the National Reconnaissance Office, which is known. The NRO has known with history of UFO. He served as the Reconnaissance Office's representative to the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force from 2019 to 2021. And then he was the NGA's co-lead for UAP analysis and its representative to the task force. Now, just to summarize also what happened, this guy was part of the UAP task force, right? Mm-hmm. And he was denied access to SAP programs. He's also an SSO, which means he looks over SAP programs. So he was denied access, and that's what started all this. And he started asking people started confiding in him. And to be clear, he has not seen or touched any of these crafts. This is just based on people confiding in him, also in the intelligence community. He started getting harassed, right, and retaliation, and that's what this complaint is. And he went through the right channels, and he got protection to come out and talk about these programs and what he's been able to come up with. Well, I think that's everything. And then he had the interview, obviously, in the debrief, but then News Nation, so new link, News Nation came out, I think, that night with this one. Right?
Yeah, that was the main interview. Let's play it.
All right.
Bombshell claims from a military whistleblower. UFO wreckage recovered by the U.S. kept classified by a secret government program for decades. Tonight, a world television exclusive you will only see on News Nation. Welcome to Elizabeth Vargas Reports. Earning your trust. Grush is exposing what he calls a top secret military program that is reportedly found.
Nation exclusive, David Grush, an Air Force veteran, former member of that task force, and veteran of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, is formally blowing the whistle on secrets he says no one has ever shared publicly before.
You are one of the most trusted former intelligence officials in the U.S. defense and intelligence establishment.
Yes, I was.
You were trusted with the most intimate secrets.
Yes.
Grush sitting down with award-winning investigative journalist Ross Coulthart, who's reporting for News Nation and has spent years reporting on the UFO question.
What conclusion did you come to at the end of your time on the UAP task force?
The UAP task force was refused access to a broad crash retrieval program.
When you say crash retrieval, what do you mean?
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
How many?
Quite a number.
You're kidding.
No. I thought it was totally nuts, and I thought at first I was being deceived. It was a ruse. People started confiding in me. They approached me. I have plenty of current former senior intelligence officers that came to me, many of which I knew almost my whole career, that confided in me. They were a part of a program. They named the program. I've never heard of it. And they told me, based on their oral testimony, and they provided me documents and other proof, that there was, in fact, a program that the UAP task force was not read into.
Grush alleges.
Wow, man. Just even hearing it over. Yeah. I mean, stuff he's saying.
I hope this and see, this is my contrarian spirit coming through, but I really hope this is real and not employed by the government, placing this guy. But this is the way my mind thinks. The second I hear
me too.
The second I hear something, I go, okay, they're lying, and what's the cui bono? Who benefits?
Right, and a lot of people are right. A lot of people are thinking that. A lot of people are coming on defense. Some new stuff has come. Some stuff has come out. Here's a good one I shared with you. Here's another link.
So my biggest thing is, so he approached all of these. Well, not all of it. He approached these news people with no proof. It's just him being a whistleblower.
Yeah, because he's not allowed to. I mean, so if we go back to that. He had a classified meeting with the IG, the Inspector General, right, for 11 hours. And the Inspector General has the clearance to see this stuff. So he did give that guy the evidence. And then the IG said that it was credible and urgent, right? And that's why they signed the affidavit and whatnot. But apparently, if you go to the media and you're a government employee or ex-government employee, you have to get what you're going to say approved by the Department of Defense. I think it's called DIPSR. Something like that, publishing office. I don't know. So they approved him saying the stuff he said. All right. But it doesn't mean that's true. Right.
Right.
What they didn't let him do, they didn't let him provide any evidence. He wasn't allowed to provide any documents or any pictures classified. Yeah.
See, that's my biggest problem. I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with Luis Elizondo. They keep saying, this, that, and the other thing, but until we see concrete proof, it's weird. It's weird to me that a quote unquote whistleblower doesn't. So to me, a whistle, like I think of Assange and I think of oh my God, this is embarrassing. Who's the guy? Snowden.
Yeah.
They had the receipts. Right. And
that's true. That documents.
Maybe that's a really good example as to why this guy didn't come forth with proof, because both those guys are in serious trouble.
Very serious trouble. And they had their passports taken away. And what's his name? Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. I mean, good point. But the thing is, and this is a conversation that's happening. Then, in this current system, that's never going to be allowed. The DIPSR.
Exactly. That's my
point. Yeah.
That's what I was trying to say is, it's crazy to me that a whistleblower has to get approval from the government to whistleblow, which doesn't make any sense, because then you're not a whistleblower. I don't know what you are.
Yeah.
A disinfo agent.
Well, a lot of after that came out, of course, this is Eric Davis. He's been quoted by saying there have been UFO crashes. The superpowers on the earth have had their share of crashes, and they have recovered the vehicles from those crashes. Eric Davis in a podcast, we can link that. And then was this from the article too? Another link. So this is about his character and credibility, right? They're vetting him. So his Grush assertion concerning the existence of a terrestrial arms race occurring sub rosa over the past 80 years, focused on reverse engineering technologies of unknown origin, is fundamentally correct, as is the indisputable realization that at least some of these technologies of unknown origin derive from non-human intelligence. This is Carl Nell, retired Army colonel, who worked with Grush on the UAP task force. So this is just some proof of credibility. And then, man, you saw this. Everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Another link. This is HuffPost. We're not going to go through any. I'm just going to show that how many have covered this.
Yeah, I mean, it was everybody. I mean, you were sending me every time a major news outlet posted about it. You were sending me the link. I mean, it was everybody. Everybody's talking. Even my mom, again, I've mentioned her on the podcast many times, who is not tuned into the whole UFO thing, has started to take interest. I was texting her about something completely irrelevant. She goes, "Did you see the article or the news about the guy the whistleblower came forward about the UFOs?" I go, "Yeah, of course I have. I've been plugged in." Really quick. What's funny is I was talking about communion last week, and I haven't read that. And she texted me and she goes, where can I find that book? I want to,
that should not be her first book to read, though, right?
Yeah, I know it's terrifying, but
right.
The fact that she's taken interest is really cool.
That is really cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, definitely. There you go. It's a good place to start, right?
Well, it's the most terrifying place to start. Actually, no.
Maybe try to pave the way, pave the path for her.
The book from like a month or two ago, Final Events. That would be the most terrifying place to start.
Oh yes, it will. Oh yeah, do not do that.
By Nick Redfern. Don't start there.
Probably a valet book would be good. Pagonia, right? That'd be a good one to start with.
I feel like it's a little. Jack Valet is great. Love him. I feel like it's a little too out there for people who are just getting into.
Oh yeah, you're not. Yeah, you need to get there first.
Yeah.
Brett Baer, God, Tucker. I mean, even Tucker on his. Not episode 1.
It is episode 1. Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, in episode 1 because he's already in episode 2. So at the end, he says,
"Media lie. They do, but mostly they just ignore the stories that matter. What's happened to the hundreds of billions of U.S. dollars we've sent to Ukraine? No clue. Who organized those BLM riots 3 years ago? No one's gotten to the bottom of that. What exactly happened on 9/11? Well, it's still classified.
Wow.
How did Jeffrey Epstein make all that money? How did he die? How about JFK? And so endlessly on. Not only are the media not interested in any of this, they are actively hostile to anybody who is. In journalism, curiosity is the gravest crime. Yesterday, for example, a former Air Force officer who worked for years in military intelligence came forward as a whistleblower to reveal that the U.S. government has physical evidence of crashed non-human-made aircraft, as well as the bodies of the pilots who flew those aircraft. The Pentagon has spent decades studying these otherworldly remains in order to build more technologically advanced weapons systems. Okay, that's what the former intel officer revealed, and it was clear he was telling the truth. In other words, UFOs are actually real, and apparently so is extraterrestrial life. Now we know. In a normal country, this news would qualify as a bombshell, the story of the millennium. But in our country, it doesn't. The whistleblower's account ran on a technology website called The Debrief, which you've probably never heard of. The Washington Post had that story, but decided not to run it. The New York Times, meanwhile, just pretended it never happened. On the front page of the New York Times website this morning, there were 5 stories about Ukraine, as well as 4 stories apiece about Donald Trump, trans people, and climate change, the usual lineup. There was nothing at all about how an alien species is flying hypersonic aircraft over our cities. Not one word.
Oh, dude, he's always on point, isn't he?
Yeah, man. I mean, what's sad is we're looking at the mainstream media sources that are finally reporting on this, but at the same time, I mean, he's completely right. It's buried beneath all of the, whatever stories get clicks. I can't believe, and he's exactly right. I can't believe we're at a point where the biggest UFO story that's happened, I don't know, since Roswell is like not. I mean, now I guess it kind of is front page news, but people, I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, not really the big ones, and we'll get to the big ones now because they're not kind of hit pieces, but they're kind of just as usual trying to just bury this. I mean, this is the Le Parisien, right, in France. They covered it too, and there's stuff in here that he hasn't said to other ones. I can't really. What is that? To read more, or is it? It's to pay. Of course, it's to pay.
Paywall.
Yeah,
always paywall.
So them, and then this is trading. How to
trade the whistleblower revelations about UFOs. That's fantastic.
So it's a craze that's happening. I mean, when watching this is like watching a movie because they'll have that too, where they'll be just
absolutely
right.
So you sent me this article, and I said I got to find some company that they're working on zero. Anti-gravity technology and invest in them because it's going to be real popular here in a couple of years.
Yeah, Lockheed Martin, of course, they have in there. I mean, they're
of course. That's a safe bet. Hey, I'm not a stock broker, a trader, or anything, but hey, invest in any war,
absolutely,
war-based companies.
Especially these guys. I mean, if this is has been true in crash retrievals and this is one of the companies that's in there.
Yep.
So yeah, of course, Skunk Works. So I think it's a great article. Meta Materials. Now, of course, when this comes out, you have the same skeptics and debunkers like Mick West and that Green Street guy, and you have, of course, Greenwald, who's always, I think, in the middle. He's not a debunker. I wouldn't call him a debunker at all. But he covered this. He went, and of course, he always has issues. It wasn't too bad. He's
a truth guy.
Yeah, and he's got some thick skin. I mean, because there's a lot of people that are just always saying bad stuff about him, and he actually reads. He still reads people's comments. If I was at his level where there's going to be so many trolls and detractors, I wouldn't read anything. So I'm surprised.
Yeah. Good on him.
Yeah, exactly. So he's doing great with it. He's not a complete believer, but he still has issues because it's coming from Elizondo, is what he's saying. That this guy was close with Elizondo and Chris Mellon, and he has issues with these guys, and their agenda, I guess, is what it is. And he wants evidence. He goes, like you said, where the pictures? Where that's what everyone wants to see. Yes, where the documents?
Yeah.
Now I did see this. Did you send this to me? Someone on Reddit was actually talking about that video.
I did not send this to you.
Okay. So this guy talks about how now, again, we're just reporting what we see here, and it's not our opinions of Greenwald or of this guy, but there are, different viewpoints and different perspectives that we should, be wary about. So he goes, in typical Greenwald fashion, he does ask some questions that already have answers publicly available, because to John, the questions are the point, not the answers. The questions are being used to get you to think along the lines he wants you to. So the question, why the pressure to release the story, right? I mean, John does bring that up. And he brought up something else about non-human origin. Anyway, I'll link this in the show notes, and people can go through it and read and see what they think about this guy's analysis of Greenwald's video.
I think healthy skepticism, especially in this field, especially with all the proven government influence, I'll say, in this field,
and psyops, exactly, and disinformation, and all that stuff.
I think it's really good to ask questions, and it's good to be a little bit skeptical of things, especially like this.
And we don't want to get our hopes up too high either, and then get screwed over, and then you know what I mean. It's just keep a healthy balance, open mind with this. It's great news, but we need people out there dissecting it just to make sure we're not. It's another psyop is not happening to us. Now there's some more. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
There's more support for Grush. This is on the Liberation Times. Former chief scientist for Air Force Space Command vouches for UFO whistleblower's integrity. So it's good when more independent people, high stature, come out in support. This is different. It really feels different when you see this kind of stuff. In a show of support, Jim Shell, the former chief scientist for Air Force Space Command, now known as the U.S. Space Force, has lent his voice to the integrity of former senior intelligence official David Grush in the wake of his recent astonishing claims relating to UAP. So I will vouch for the integrity of Dave Grush.
I mean, it's pretty cool. All these people are coming forward and talking about how, he is a reputable. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear that motorcycle outside my.
No,
it's cool that people are coming out and talking about how reputable this guy is. That doesn't happen often. In fact, who is the hell? We were just talking about him earlier. The guy.
Elizondo?
No.
Oh.
Well, yeah, Elizondo, his credibility has been attacked.
A lot, yeah.
The backward speech, not the wife.
Lazar?
Yeah, Bob Lazar, he's had his credibility attacked left, right, and forward for years now. And people have looked into his background, and apparently, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how sketchy that guy is or isn't. But it's interesting that when Grush comes forward, there's a lot of people that come out of the woodwork to talk about how
it's completely different. Lazar was by himself, and everyone was just attacking him, saying, he's nothing. He's not even a scientist. He never went here. This guy, he's decorated, and then people within the intelligence community are coming out high level. Now, Arrow, of course, came out with a statement saying that they have not seen any evidence. Arrow, just
well, of course,
listeners,
Arrow's going to say that. Of course they are. I mean,
yeah.
Oh, God.
He met with him, by the way. Grush met with him for hours. So they're saying here, Arrow has not discovered any verifiable information to substantiate claims that any programs regarding the possession of reverse engineering of extraterrestrial materials have existed in the past. Or
I mean, they're
playing
paid
games.
to say that. They're paid to say that.
Their job. It's their job. Arrow is committed to following the data. Okay, this reminded me of following the science.
We followed the data, and it wasn't something that we liked, so we said it was false.
Exactly.
The scientific method, ladies and gentlemen.
Spot on. It's exact. Oh, it led this way. Okay, let's scratch that one. That one's anomalous. Anyway, so it should be noted that Liberation Times understands that Arrow is not an authorized recipient of David Grush's complaints made through the ICIG. That's the IG, the what are they called? Investigative
Instagram.
No, not Instagram. Anyway, it'll get to me. The only authorized recipients are the Director of National Intelligence, Avril Haines, and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Anyway, but another great thing about this, why it's different, okay, and this is another link, but this is a great article about the legality of what Grush did. And we've been speaking about this, but Congress, they passed some laws to really protect these whistleblowers. They really want them to come forward, and there is a very strong protection for these guys. And Grush apparently went through it perfectly and flawlessly, according to this article. He went to a law firm that's run by a former IG, Inspector General is what they're called. Okay, so he went to protect himself from retaliation. So where can I find a great place? He goes, Grush is no kook. He's a decorated veteran. Prior to leaving government work in April, Grush had a celebrated 14-year career in U.S. intelligence. After he came forward, several of Grush's former colleagues backed him up. Okay, so we know about that. We wrote about that. Okay, here we go. Grush also seems to have played this by the book, as much as anyone can, that is, when whistleblowing on an apparent real-life Men in Black program, when he could have popped out onto some popular conspiracy theory program if it wasn't instant fame and fortune he sought. He instead brought it to the attention of the Department of Defense Inspector General that certain elements within the intelligence community were allegedly improperly withholding UAP-related information from Congress. So Grush then quietly provided Congress with hours of recorded classified information. Grush believed critical information had been wrongfully withheld from lawmakers whose duty it should have been to provide oversight to this clandestine exotic materials program. Naturally, some of the information could only be provided in private, closed-door sessions before congressional intelligence committees. So yeah, he filed, and he did the complaint filed with the intelligence community. The Inspector General is a very interesting piece of this whole puzzle.
So he did it the right way, is what the long and short of this article is.
Right, but they're saying that who signed it. I mean, they're saying here, in the action initiated by his complaint, Grush is represented by Charles McCulloch III, who is a senior partner of the Compass Rose. Again, this guy, the complaint was signed not only by McCulloch, it was also signed by the managing partner of his firm lawyer. So these guys are saying that the law firm actually signed also.
So again, we've talked about this, I don't know, a few weeks ago. I feel like there is a schism in the government. There's people who want this kind of information to get out, and there's people who don't.
Right.
And it does feel like, especially after looking at this article, well, that the let it get out side is winning, thank God.
Yeah, and because they have the law by their side, and that's the only way to do it, then maybe if we the public need to see this classified material, they have to amend the National Security Act.
You'd hope so. You'd hope so. I mean, we still don't. They released the JFK assassination documents, and it was a black page. I mean, I'm not going to trust anything the government releases, unfortunately.
Yeah. And he's a new link from the Hill. Now they covered it too. So they're saying the IG said that it was, after he read everything and saw everything, he said it's credible and urgent. So now the debunkers are saying that, no one else saw the documents. So how do we know what's credible and urgent? But I don't know. This one just seems different,
Definitely. I mean, there's a reason that this this whole event has gotten everybody up in arms. Every news outlet reporting on this. That means there's something to it.
There is something to it. Oh, here's a crazy one I want you and the listeners to listen to. I sent it to you. It was redacted. He had a guest on.
Mm-hmm.
And he ties it in a very interesting way. I do have it keyed up.
Perfect.
Yeah, let's listen.
Past few days, a bombshell revelation from a Pentagon insider, a whistleblower who's come forward to admit that the United States has alien craft, off-world vehicles that we've been reverse engineering for many, many years. They've been suppressing it from the public. And this whistleblower came forward with a complaint about this suppression. Listen to David Grush with this complaint.
When you say crash retrieval, what do you mean?
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will. It's probably not the right parlance, but no kidding, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
You notice they keep saying that now, non-human intelligence of extraterrestrial instead of right? It's like it's being stressed now a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, the biggest thing to me is he says spacecraft, if you want to call it that.
If you want to call it that, yeah.
Which is very interesting to me. I think on the show I've talked about my theory about how they're interdimensional and not.
Yeah.
This could be a whole episode.
And it's probably, a lot of that. And so anyway, okay, here's this guest. That's what I wanted to hear.
Listen, I spent 10 years in the United States Navy. I worked on missile weapons defense systems. I've had my own experiences while in the Navy with these types of things, 2004, 2006 specifically. So I'm familiar with this. I've been studying this topic for well over 2.5 decades. I've been a researcher, investigator in this stuff. I do my own shows, investigations, research. And this topic just fascinates me, especially more so in recent years. When this broke, there was something that caught my interest, and this was Inspector General McCullough, who was his lawyer representing him. And so there's a backstory behind Inspector General McCullough. If people remember this gentleman was the Inspector General of the intelligence community that was testifying on the Hillary Clinton email scandal back in 2015 with Congressman Chaffetz in Congress. When he was asked what was in these emails, he came out and said they're Orcon, they're SAP projects. I can't tell you this. They're classified. It's a need to know. Only me and my team had a summary briefing on these SAP programs. We learned from the Horowitz report, Hillary Clinton had metadata, sending it to an email address that was tied to potentially a Chinese company. And that's kind of where these emails were floating around going to China. My research for the last 4 years has uncovered what potentially was in those emails Hillary Clinton was forwarding and replying to. And what we find is we know that they're somehow connected to SAP programs, special access programs, the highest, most classified programs of our military, DOD, DOE, NASA. Well, when Donald Trump came in, Mike Pompeo shut down all these educational exchange programs that Barack Obama had started. And so my investigation really started early on. I was looking 1998, Bill Clinton giving nuclear secrets away, 2006, various different nuclear incidences, 2008, nuclear incidences. And what we see this pattern of military technology being inadvertently traded with the enemy, whether it's China, foreign adversaries, or whoever. And so I started looking at this pattern. And I noticed that when Donald Trump came in, the DOJ began investigating various different colleges, universities, and professors and started arresting them. Everybody remembers Harvard professor Charles Lieber, who was arrested, who was recently just sentenced. Well, he was one of many. The one thing that all of these professors that got arrested have in common is they all have NSF, National Science Foundation contracts, which were special access programs. So by looking at this and kind of breaking it down, we come to find out that Hillary Clinton, the special access program emails that she was sending to this Gmail address that were potentially being looked at by China were the universities and the professors that were getting these grants to reverse engineer the various different technologies in these SAP programs. If we remember Bob Lazar's documentary, he said that due to the compartmentalization, we'll never reverse engineer any of this technology unless we get it into the universities. For the longest time, the other side of the deep state's been trying to get their hands on this. So now this revelation comes up that Hillary Clinton's emails were potentially selling this information to China, other foreign adversaries of these SAP programs. China would come in, fund that university, bring that professor over to China, get the information out of these professors of whatever SAP programs they were working on, and then highly advance their technology in 1 decade to become equivalent with the United States of America. So Inspector General McCullough is this man who was read into these programs specifically. Now, Clayton, this is where it gets really interesting. I was talking to one of my sources last night about this project, or about what just happened with this whistleblower. This is what he told me, and he actually predicted that this event was going to happen. He said that there's more than one whistleblower. I think there's approximately three. The other two are the ones who have the first-hand information on this. Not only that, but they have the actual evidence. They have video, photographic evidence of what happened. And we know this because when they filed a whistleblower complaint, they had a fear for their life. They're transitioning out of their careers in the military and the intelligence community. They're transitioning into defense contracting. One of them knew the location of where these craft are supposedly stored. And so they feared for their life that potentially there could be pushback on them, and they felt the need to come forth on this. So they went to the
I won't go on too far now, but he continues and he says even the documents that President Trump has, the classified ones, the ones that they're indicting him on, a lot of them had UFO stuff in there.
You know, if there was one president that was going to come forward and talk about UFOs, even off the cuff or as an accident, it would have been Trump.
Yeah, and he did. I mean, because he got asked, like, yeah, it's really interesting. I saw the Roswell stuff. It's interesting. That's all he would say about it. And then his son like interview him too and ask him about that. I mean, so, and there is, if you listen to other people like dark journalists, and there's some stuff out there that does tie Trump to the UFO file and subject. Have you heard about this? Because his uncle John Trump was a scientist, I think in MIT or something like that, and he was one of the ones the government went to with the Tesla files that they stole from Tesla when he died.
I had not heard about this.
Yes, and that so he's told Trump about these things. So no, and that's verifiable. It's crazy. It's wild, dude.
So, I mean, there's two ways I'm looking at this. Either A, we're trying to hide our, the way we create our technology from the rest of the world. When I say we, I mean the US. And that's why they're not open to sharing the UFO stuff. And the fact that, this is kind of the way that I lead. I think the UFO thing is so weird and bizarre that they just don't feel comfortable sharing anything about it. I mean, why is the U.S. government and governments across the world so against sharing the UFO knowledge, technology, yada yada?
That is such a good question, and I think I'm going to end the show on a great one. That's gonna try and answer that.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because exactly. So yeah, I mean, just seeing all the information out there, and with Stephen Greer's thing going on this weekend, and all the whistleblowers he has, and the historical evidence that they provide, it's like, man, they just can't. I don't think it can happen. They've gotten way too powerful, and they really are like a separate civilization when they talk about breakaways. If all that stuff, if just a little of that is true.
You're talking about the elites?
Yeah, and whoever is running this program and the technology, and it's just way beyond. It's left us a long time ago, like 50 years ago. So, anyways, I mean, I shared this guy with you. He was from a long time ago. He's a NASA guy. I think he was high up there, and he corroborates a lot of that evidence that this whistleblower is saying. Obviously, not from the intelligence community, but where is it? What's his name? Oshler. You want to listen to this quickly?
Yeah, definitely.
This was just rubbish from the tabloids, but I was surprised to find thousands of U.S. government documents from intelligence agencies that tended to indicate that there was a little bit more to this than met the eye. So I went to seek guidance from the various highest levels of the United States intelligence community, and I was quite alarmed at what I was able to learn.
Now, we are, in this report that we're now going to show, we're going to hear a conversation featuring you. Tell me the context of that conversation.
Well, I had contacted Admiral Bobby Ray Inman, who was the head of the National Security Agency in the United States, deputy director at CIA, director of naval intelligence, and a variety of intelligence posts, a technologist, and clearly someone that, if this was really accurate, that there really were UFOs and non-human intelligence around, this is a man who had to know. Mm-hmm. So I was able to contact him thanks to a contact through Admiral Lord Hill Norton here in the UK. And this conversation, he alarmingly not only indicated that these issues were covered under national secrecy laws, but that the United States government did in fact have possession of the hardware associated with this. In other words, this was an actual physical phenomenon.
A craft, a spaceship.
Several of them, and they were in operational condition, which I assume suggested that they had been in contact, that they had been given these craft for some reason or another, because they certainly weren't crashed vehicles.
Do you anticipate that any of the recovered vehicles would ever become available for technological research outside of the military circles?
Again, I honestly don't know. 10 years ago, the answer would have been no.
Yeah.
Whether as time has evolved, they're beginning to become more open on it, is a possibility.
A short time later, Bob Exler received this call.
Mr. Exler, this is Tom King in Admiral Inman's office. Yes, you would be breaching confidence and/or violations of the secrecy laws and discussing his involvement in any matter.
Did you hear that? He said you will be breaching, so do not be talking about this.
Right. I mean, see that, and that's the thing. I feel like that's a smoking gun where someone comes forth and says all this stuff, and they get a call from the government saying, don't you stop talking about this.
Don't you dare talk about this.
That means there's something there, right? I mean,
yeah.
If he was talking about like the SR-71, the Blackbird, before public knowledge of it was released, something along those lines,
they wouldn't care.
No, they would. That would be something that I would understand them being upset about. The fact that he's talking about UFOs and the government's coming forward and saying, "Don't you dare talk about this," means there's something to it.
Yeah, especially at your position and and he went and he talked to these people and verified first before coming forward. So that was decades ago. So it's been going on for a while. I mean, at least now that congressmen are trying to change things, and this is why it's coming out more now, I think, from much more higher level. But House Oversight plans UFO hearing after unconfirmed claims of crashed alien spacecraft.
I'm a little wary about it. I mean, as we know, Congress, they're about as good as the stuff.
Here they come.
The stuff I leave in the toilet. But it's good, that they're actually quote unquote doing something.
Doing a circus.
Yeah.
Another circus. Well, I think James Comer, he's one of them. He's like, there's no evidence, blah blah blah. And of course the internet went and did some research, and one of his biggest donors is Lockheed Martin and
shocker.
And the military industrial complex. So of course he's going to say that, because then these corporations won't have technology to reverse engineer from 1,000 years ago, or 1,000 years ahead, and make them, who God knows how much profit, and then yeah. I mean, that's what we have to think about. There's so much money into this secrecy. It's just, what's the incentive? What is the incentive? And not just profit, but power, because then no one can catch up to you. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see who they're going to invite. I did share with you Dolan. He's going to come out with his video soon. So he asked the community. He goes, he's asking, does he come off as credible? Where is the story headed? What's next? When was this? This is a few days ago. Things have changed since then. June 9th. So 3 days ago. So I told him that, he was an SSO overseeing SAPs. This is about Grush, right? Was on the UAP task force, was denied access to the program, began investigating, and was approached by high-level individuals in the program, went through legal channels to get protected. Then I said his lawyer is a former IG. He went under oath for 11 hours and provided evidence to the IG, signed affidavit, and will suffer penalties if proven that he is lying. I mean, which is true. It's like 10 years in jail or something like that. He signed that affidavit. So I think all this together proves this guy's legit, and it's really different. That's me. Obviously, I'm still trying to keep trying to stay in the middle, because I really don't know if it's a psyop or not.
And that's the question we're going to keep circling back to. I mean, if this is a legit whistleblower, this is great. I mean, this confirms everything that we've believed about UFOs for a very long time. Or it's the other way, where who knows what the truth is, and this guy is a plant to just make us believe in one thing, so the government and the people in power can do something different. It's really hard to determine that.
It is hard. But then, I was also thinking that if the NYT article that comes out, if it's a hit piece, then maybe it's not a psyop, because they're really heavily influenced by the intelligence community.
Or it's a psyop against a psyop. It's a
script.
It's a hit piece to make you think it's not, to make you think it's real. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Circular arguments.
I mean, this is how far our government has gone. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Another link. Did you listen to this guy?
I did. Yeah.
Marine vet breaks 14 years silence. This one, I don't know. Of course, the debunkers love this one, right? Because he's saying when he went into the craft, it was as big as a football field, but then outside of the craft, it just looked like a 30-foot saucer craft, or octagonal. They're saying
right? That's very well, I don't know how it is common.
Oh no, sorry, this is a different one. I'm sorry, Topher. No, this one, the guy's in Indonesia, and they come across. A former Marine claims he and 5 comrades saw a flying saucer being loaded with weapons while serving in Indonesia in 2009, and was threatened at gunpoint by unmarked U.S. forces at the scene. The wild story comes after an Air Force whistleblower. So this guy comes forward. So
we've touched on something similar. We read an article maybe a month ago about the people in Vietnam who had seen something really similar. There was aliens outside the craft, and they were loading the craft. It wasn't weapons; it was human body parts.
Right.
So again, it's not uncommon for UFOs to be, and people. It's not.
Well, those were aliens. These are humans.
No,
I come across. Oh yeah,
I understand. I'm just saying it's not uncommon for UFOs to be seen around areas of conflict. Just look at the Ukraine-Russia conflict going on right now. A lot of people are seeing weird stuff in the sky.
Yeah, so this is a weird one because, and he goes, anyway, so it was just a human UFO or flying saucer, and they were loading weapons into it. So that's a crazy one.
I just want to know. I want to know what career path in the military do you have to be on to get involved? You know, where all of a sudden UFOs are just like kind of part of your daily thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I mean, we hear all the stories about grunts and people in the military who are just okay. You're told to go here, you do that. What's the career path where someone picks you out and goes, okay, you're the guy who's going to be threatening other U.S. military people if they see it, our handmade UFO.
It's got to be people just don't, there are psychos out there. I mean, it's a kind of mindset where they just love to be in control or, really don't have opinions about reality. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of people out there who don't really question this stuff. I've had conversations with some like, dude, shut up, like that kind of thing. Like, why do you think of stuff like that? Or, there's people out there like that. Just, I don't know. What are they called? I wouldn't even call them materialists. All right, so this is not working.
All right.
New York Times article that's come out. I don't know if you read it.
I wasn't able to because of the paywall.
Yeah, but I don't think it was a paywall yesterday or 2 days ago. But basically, they're trying to conflate Grush with Bob Lazar.
Yeah.
And they do it in a very sneaky way. They're just trying to remind us that this has happened before and no evidence, blah, 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 that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But they forget all the support he's getting. They support the channels he went through. They forget the whole under oath thing with the IG looking at the classified information, the affidavit signed. I mean, just that stuff. You can't just throw that away. It's very different from Lazar. Very, very different.
Definitely.
Now there was a complete distraction that went on.
Yeah. Let's play this. This is a lot of fun. This is interesting.
Okay.
It is the police call everybody will be talking about. Thanks for joining us here at 6 o'clock. I'm Denise Valdez.
I'm Brian Loftus. A family says something crashed into their backyard, prompting them to call 911, saying they saw creatures walking around.
Our 8 News Now investigators digging into this for weeks now. And tonight, our David Sharns with the video you will only see on 8 News Now. David?
Right, Denise, sources telling the 8 News Now investigators that several agencies believe something landed or crashed. Whether it was non-humans or not, it certainly scared the people living on this property. Now, before we show you that video, listen to their call for help.
There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
Okay, where is this on your property?
In my backyard. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually, we're terrified of it.
So there's 2 people or 2 subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot.
They're like 8 foot.
I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it. And big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
Okay.
The 8 News Now investigators.
Okay.
Officers.
the 911 operator.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So I mean that I went through. I mean, a lot of us went down a rabbit hole, and this guy interviewed him. I guess he's a podcaster that lives nearby or something, and he got an interview. We'll link the interview. I'm not going to play the interview. But he asked some questions which were good, kind of making this a little bit real, where they were talking about cameras being set up by the police on the property, that they came and confiscated those cameras, weird stuff like that. There's the body cam footage that of the officers, the 2 officers that was also released. And it just shows, I guess these officers are believers, or one of them is, and he took this seriously, and he was looking for this thing. And it's just showing him going around the neighborhood asking people, hey, have you seen a 9-foot tall alien? I know it's weird, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no. And then the kid comes out with his own video. Did you see this?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Anyway, when I saw it, I'm like, man, this kid is lying. You can just tell. I'm gonna play it quickly. It's not worth it.
So,
but yeah, go ahead.
He needs to study up on his alien lore. Aliens are not 8 or 9 feet tall. They're
4.
Yeah,
4 or 5.
You got the small grays. You got the tall whites. none of them are 8 feet tall. So he's got to study up on his alien lore.
And he's calling it Alien Society 51. We'll get to that, but just
and just the timing of it. Like this came out a day? Was it the same day as it was Monday or Tuesday last week?
Interestingly, the event happened in May, like a month ago.
Oh, that's right.
But
the story just came out.
Yeah, the story just came out because I think the police footage came out and all that stuff. I think they finished the investigation first, but they took it seriously. I mean, apparently. But here, listen to him.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel. This is my first video. I'm here to tell you what happened to me on May 1st, 2023.
He's reading.
I'm trying to explain the best of my abilities. This is not a conspiracy theory. I'm not making this story out for clout or fame. I just want to tell you what happened to me and my family.
Man, I can read through people, see it through people, and I swear he's not telling the truth.
I know some people are not going to believe this, but each person is different. So this is what happened to me.
Okay, we need to go through this, but he does put up he puts a clip up. I guess his mom or someone took it from behind him, supposedly looking.
That was the whole crux of the story, is there was no video proof that this had happened. It was just all they had was the phone call.
Yeah. And then this thing, which people have slowed down and read it, and I don't know what, and where's the backyard one? And even I took like snapshots, and there was something that was like a being, but it might have been 4 foot tall. Is this one? It's terrible. It's like 2 seconds. Yeah, it was this one. There's nothing there. People just, I don't know, they just made it up too.
But on camera, but it's there. Here's a video.
It's not. Watch. See, it was that quick. That's it. So you have to take a screenshot.
Absolutely nothing.
And I don't know if you know this, but then they found that there is a Twitter account called Alien Society 51. And it sells NFTs.
Oh, there we go.
So that was a complete distraction. That took 2 days off of Grush, that's for sure.
Everything.
Yeah, so this was February. All right, so we're talking about beginning of the year, February 2nd, 2023. Researchers at Large Hadron Collider are confident to make contact with parallel universe in days. The astoundingly complex LHC atom smasher at the CERN Center in Geneva will be fired up to its maximum energy levels ever in an attempt to spot or even generate tiny black holes. If successful, a totally new universe will be exposed, modifying completely not only the physics books, but the philosophy books too.
And if science fiction has taught us everything, or taught us anything, there's no possible way this could go wrong.
I mean, it's not enough that, some people theorize, probably correctly, that these UFOs and a lot of these craft that are coming in started coming in after we started exploding nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
Probably opening or cracks or fissures in reality. And that's why they come and say, stop doing that. And now we're doing this, or it did happen already in February.
Well, and
what
even
are they doing?
When we had Kay on, she said she saw something above CERN.
Yeah.
There's been weird leaked footage. You've seen this, I'm sure. Weird leaked footage of them doing weird rituals outside of CERN.
I
mean, there was a guy, I still remember this story. It was probably nothing, but a guy who claimed to be from the future, warning them not to turn. He got caught running around outside CERN, warning them not to turn it on. Do you remember that story? That came out a few years back.
Funny. Yeah. And of course, they link the Large Hadron Collider to Mandela effect. Not Mandela. What's his name? Mandela effect.
Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
So have we talked about the Mandela effect on the podcast?
I think we might have glossed. Yeah. That
so for those,
we have different memories, right?
Right. We all have. So the Mandela effect gets its name from, a lot of people seem to have the memory of Nelson Mandela dying in prison, even though I'll say in this reality he did not. Another one that always comes up is the Berenstain Bears, spelled different ways to different people.
I know that. And so the Fruit of the Loom thing.
Fruit of the Loom, yeah. Did it have what's it called, the basket behind
the fruit? The basket. I always thought it's a basket, but there's no basket, right?
Right, exactly. Stuff like that. So the Mandela effect theory is that, there's been different realities that are kind of overlapping each other. That's a really broad way to put it.
Right.
Because people seem to have these very clear memories of something that doesn't match what actually happened. I'll say actually happened. What happened in the history books.
Right. And and
a lot of people, it's not one or two. There if you ask, a wide group of people, a lot of people will tell you Nelson Mandela died in prison. If you look, according to our reality right now, that's not what happened.
Right, but then there's people who do exactly remember it a certain way. Anyway, it could be a memory thing, how we remember things also. But yeah, people always blame the Large Hadron Collider.
Yeah,
yeah. So that's something to take into consideration of what is happening, or if we do end up seeing lots of sightings and stuff, it could be something like that. You sent me this. Come on.
Yes, this is. Yeah, I would love to talk about this. Let's talk about this.
Go ahead.
Okay, so here I'm gonna say the title of the article, and we'll go from there. Yeah. Topless women caught munching on deer carcass in bizarre CCTV footage. So this lady, I'm trying to remember where it was. Arkansas? Oh no, I'm sorry, Canada. I've got my
British Columbia.
I've got my hick places mixed up. So this lady found a deer carcass in her backyard. It died from who knows what, and she set up a camera to see, what kind of wildlife would feed on this carcass. Just, I don't know. Apparently that's a Canadian in the woods type of deal. And so she set up this camera. The next day, she had footage of these two women who were, the article kept saying, dressed scandalously or scantily, whatever.
Scantily, yeah.
Scantily dressed. These two women came and started eating this corpse, and even the article calls them witches. They really don't have a whole lot of clothes on, long black hair. So one of the things, if you scroll down just a little bit, the picture of the woman who submitted this footage, she is pale and she's got long black hair. So it might be nothing. I sent that to you because if this is real, this is absolutely bizarre. I mean, the occults, I know we see them in movies,
right,
and television and books and stuff, but it does exist to a certain extent. It is very bizarre because this is a real corpse, and one of them is like sucking on the hooves.
Yeah, where is that one? No, they showed it.
Yeah, it's
this one right here.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's so gross. Whatever is happening here, even if this is like complete fake by the woman who submitted this, it's just so gross and weird.
Especially if they were naked. I mean, that's what she was saying. She goes, maybe they were paying their respects, but they were naked.
Right.
Added.
Well, and then the fact that they were seen on footage eating the thing.
That's so gross.
It's disgusting. I mean,
you're probably dead. You can get poisoned.
Yeah, I was going to say, you get really sick from doing that. But yeah, very weird. Very, very weird. I like high strangeness stuff. I found stuff on the
especially random stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I think it's bizarre. I really like the underside of humanity that's not ever seen. So this kind of stuff really interests me.
Yeah. Did you see this one? So I guess you've seen this, and Kay have seen this.
Yes,
the pod thing.
Right.
What? So when was this? Oh, it says here 8 years ago. But where? This is
boy,
in California, or is it like a?
I don't know. It's a very compelling UFO footage. It was seen. It was seen, and it has been seen recently by multiple people. It's really hard to describe. It looks like almost a triangular shaped cocoon, if that makes sense.
A lot of people are saying it's like a cut off helicopter, so it doesn't have the copter part of it, and the back part. It's just
right.
Look at that thing.
Yeah. So people have slowed and stabilized this footage. It clearly has some sort of glass window in front.
There's a person in there, I think.
And
right?
And people who have enhanced the footage can see a being inside. It's very, very bizarre. Yeah, I mean,
I love it. I love it.
And the thing is, I'm looking at the footage you're showing now. It's smooth, completely smooth. So
completely smooth.
You said a cut-off helicopter just for the front of a helicopter, just for the shape.
Yeah.
But there's no rivets. There's no sign that it is something that would be described as a cut-off helicopter. But it's kind of triangular in shape. but rounded edges. One side of it is glass, people keep calling it a metapod, which I believe is a Pokemon reference.
Oh, is that what it is?
I think so. Because it looks like a weird cocoon triangular shape with a glass side. And you can see that there's something inside. Very bizarre footage. Very, very bizarre footage.
Man,
I don't know.
Whoever's doing this like makes the beings with. I mean, we've read this too and talked about this. They make the beings with whatever they're designing the craft.
It's just there's no. This is again high strangeness. I mean, this isn't a UFO. This isn't. I mean, technically it is a UFO. Excuse me. Oh man, so sorry. Technically, this is a UFO, but it's not saucer shaped. It's not. It's not acting like a typical UFO. It's high strangeness. It's completely bizarre. It makes no sense. Who knows what the purpose of this thing is? It's spinning. Anyone who's listening on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts, Adam is going to link this in the show notes. I highly recommend taking a look at it. There's no possible explanation for this.
No, there isn't, and it's completely bizarre. So yeah, we'll link where, and there's an article about it too. So,
I mean, even if this is, let's say let's go all the way down. I mean, if that's an alien being inside of a craft, what is it? What's it doing? What's its purpose? I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, it's observing something, but what is it observing? Is it going out of? Is it not working anymore? Is it malfunctioning?
And why is it in that shape and not our standard UFO if it's just observing? Because we've seen UFOs observing everything.
Who knows what the purpose is, right? I go back to that thing where that one leaker that was just saying each one has its own purpose. I love that excuse. That it's just it's fine-tuned for every mission differently.
Right.
Or at least there's a great excuse for it.
It makes a lot of sense. But let's move on to the next article.
All right, so this is what I said. I said I want to end. We don't have to end here, but this is one of the last links. But why this is never going to see the light of day, at least not in this structure, this government that we have now, and this oligarch, the elite, and you know,
lay it on me.
So this guy, Victor Marchetti, goes, how the CIA views the UFO phenomenon by Victor Marchetti. He was assistant to the deputy director of the CIA before resigning in 1969. He went on in 1974 to write a scathing book on CIA practices called CIA and the Cult of Intelligence. So it is the first book the federal government of the United States ever went to court to censor before its publication. So he goes here. There are many myths, few facts, and much speculation about what the CIA knows of the UFO phenomenon. These, combined with the public's distrust of the clandestine agency, had led to a strong popular belief that the CIA is at the center of a government-wide conspiracy to cover up the truth about UFOs. It usually follows that the cover-up is designed to keep us ignorant, or at least confused and doubtful about contacts or visitations by intelligent beings from outer space. Thus, if we only knew what the CIA knows and is covering up, we would be better able to understand and deal with aliens, and that would be a good thing. So he goes on, my theory is that we have indeed been contacted, perhaps even visited by extraterrestrial beings, and that the U.S. government, in collusion with other national powers of the earth, is determined to keep this information from the general public. The purpose of the international conspiracy is to maintain a workable stability among the nations of the world, and for them in turn to retain institutional control over their respective populations. Thus, for these governments to admit there are beings from outer space attempting to contact us, beings with mentalities and technological capabilities obviously far superior to ours, could, once fully perceived by the average person, erode the foundations of the Earth's traditional power structure. Political and legal systems, religions, and economic and social institutions could all soon become meaningless in the mind of the public. The national oligarchical establishments, even civilization as we know it, would collapse into anarchy. So this is what these people believe. And seriously, staunchly. But, fine. But how come they go ahead and make these make these vehicles for themselves, and they go and explore. And why do they have underground military bases for themselves? Why are they benefiting financially from this technology? So, they're allowed to have these new revelations of the universe and humanity in it, but we're not, because we're too unpredictable.
Well, of course. I mean, the elites are going to elite. They decide what's best for every person, place, and thing, without any consideration as to what each person, place, and thing may want. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I think one thing we touch on in every one of our podcasts is how much we hate the elites and how much it's ridiculous that they get to decide what's best for us. And this is just more of that.
It is. He goes, such extreme conclusions are not necessarily valid, but they probably accurately reflect the fears of the ruling class of the major nations, whose leaders, particularly those in the intelligence business, have always advocated excessive government secrecy as being necessary to preserve national security. The real reason for such secrecy is, of course, to keep the public uninformed, misinformed, and therefore malleable. So... and that's the fight going on. And Greer, his new thing is called Reclaiming a Lost Century. It's probably his best documentary to date, I think. I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. He did a great job in it. And it's not just all about him. He has a lot of it was fear-mongering about the environment, but, maybe there's something to that, and maybe it works. I don't know. But he's basically saying that we just have to do it ourselves, or Congress has to help us.
It's interesting to me to bring it back to so what I'm reading Communion. Didn't make a lot of progress this week, but one of the things that's brought up by Willie Strieber that the aliens told him, and something that happens, it's in the script. They talk about world destruction, and they're really, I guess, wary of that. That's what it seems like anyway.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that Greer has come to the same, conclusion. Worried about the environment, worried about us screwing everything up, which isn't a bad thing. I mean,
he also takes well, at least maybe some guess, or is it him? But he's also saying, look, the World Economic Forum and these global elites are trying to further enslave us, and they're using the excuse of the environment. And that we are contributing to killing it, and that we all need our carbon footprint to go down. We all need to stop traveling. We all need to be in these little cities, 15-minute cities.
Stop eating beef.
Yeah. But he's saying if these technologies are allowed to come out from these programs that we've had, then that's it. No grids, no electrical grids, no burning fossil fuels. Each of us has this whatever in our house that can give us all the power we need.
So I'm assuming. I'm assuming this is what you were talking about when you said you want to get to it at the end, when I was talking about why won't they release the UFO stuff. It's because, so your answer is that it's a means. So without it, the elite have a means to control us through all these things that you just mentioned. Yeah. And if they release the UFO stuff, it would free us from those chains.
Completely. And they would not be the masters of humanity. And I think that's what they view themselves as our masters. And they won't just they won't let us go.
Yeah, I mean, I completely, I can totally see that, and quite frankly, I agree with you. I mean, shit. I mean, look at all the weird stuff that they do. Whether it's Bohemian Grove or raping kids. All this stuff. It's just
whole system.
The whole system is it's not just evil. It's bizarre. They do these weird things
to stay in power.
And so they clearly, it's not just an agenda. They believe in something that the rest of us are not privy to. That's what scares me.
And what scares me too is then, okay, right now to bring it back to UFOs, is that someone's gifting these to us. So someone's gifting these technologies to the elite. At least the stories of that here you go. Oh, it's not crashed. We're just landing it here. Have fun. I mean, unless they're just naive to who they're giving it to. Maybe they think they're giving it to, because I always thought, they're giving us these gifts so we can rise to their level, so we can better communicate with them. But it's not being used that way, at least.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, maybe, maybe that's what it comes down to when you talk about abductions and UFO experiences that, your random general person has. They're not, I mean, as far as we know, maybe they are. They're not abducting the elites. They're trying to raise up, everybody else. Who knows? I mean, this is all speculation.
It is at this
and
point.
This is all coming from a human perspective, which these things clearly are not. And so
They're
who
not.
knows? Who knows what their agenda actually is? I mean, that's and I keep saying this phrase. We've talked about it on a previous podcast. Something that's alien, truly alien. Humans are not, will not be able to understand. When you go to science fiction and movies and television and books and comics and yada yada yada, all the aliens seem to have a human motivation. Whether it's they need to eat or they need, whatever it is, it's always a human motivation. But if an alien is truly alien, we're not able to understand them. We're not going to know. We're not. We couldn't possibly know because it's not in our lexicon. It's not something we could fathom.
I mean, and they don't live in a system of money like us or greed and power. So it's a completely different mindset. Also, so who knows where it's coming from and what the motivation is.
Right, exactly. Motivation. That's the key word right there.
Yeah. What is it? It's going to be something completely alien to us that doesn't, spark our interest. Like, why would they want to do it for that purpose? And who knows what purpose it is. Right?
Exactly. I mean, one of the common theories that comes up is they're feeding off of our energies, whether it's fear or anger or happiness, even that.
Yeah.
We as humans, we can certainly feel another person's anger or sadness or happiness or whatever. We don't feed off of it. We don't live off of it. But what if that's what they, what if that's their actual sustenance? I mean, that's a bizarre concept that we as humans couldn't, truly understand.
Now. Yeah. But I mean, I think, it has something to do with consciousness, and the consciousness is the absolute whatever power that permeates the universe.
Yeah.
And they have a way to harness consciousness. And if anger and struggling, whatever, are very powerful sources of that.
God, are we Scientologists? Did we just become Scientologists?
Oh my God, look where we are.
Oh no, Elron. Oh no,
oh, that's hilarious. But yeah, that's where this type of thinking takes you, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, how far down the rabbit hole can you? Well, he never truly died. He just became Tom Cruise.
Right. Because something I was thinking, is maybe likes the control structure. If they are gifting these things to the people who are, to the wardens, the wardens of the prison, they're gifting these things to them. Who is that? So, yeah.
Well, or if we're
Crazy
talking
times.
about, we talked about that leak off of 4chan. The guy was saying, basically, we're zoo animals and they're the zookeepers.
Yeah.
They don't really care what we do until we start hurting each other.
So, but I just love that theme of, we have these technologies. We've had them for a while. Enough. Get them out, But obviously, it's a fight. There's a fight, one that wants to free humanity and one that wants to continue to enslave humanity.
Absolutely.
And we'll see who'll win at the end.
Yeah. One really depressing theory I read this week was that Earth is we've been quarantined because they saw how destructive we are as humans.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's, completely valid theory. And I would totally understand if aliens did not want to get involved with us.
That could be the story of the fall, just an allegory that we were once a team, just with everyone else, like a species like that. But then we just misbehaved and we've been put under quarantine as part of the fall kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope that, I think this is getting kind of philosophical.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope that an alien, if they're, the alien species overlord, I hope they would see that how much good that humans truly are capable of.
Yes.
I know all the evil is constantly reported because that's what gets clicks, people killing people and yada, yada, yada. But, if you go up to your average person on the street, I would,
they're great.
I would assume that just like any other person, they make mistakes. They've done things that are considered negative, but overall they're good people. I mean, think about, I sit in traffic twice a day, every day. And 99% of the people that I see, they're just living their lives. They're sitting in traffic. They're obeying the laws.
Yeah.
Good
people.
Being good people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And I don't think a psyop like COVID would not have worked on a population that doesn't care about other people. It only worked because humans care about other people. They care about protecting other people.
Exactly.
And that was taken advantage of, and it's really sad to see that was taken
Yeah.
advantage of and exploited.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, everyone who was, not everyone, most people who were actually scared and freaked out about COVID. Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. They were doing it to protect other people.
Yes, they completely exploited that. And the ones who were against it, like, oh, you don't care about blah blah blah. Like, it was a terrible time.
Yeah,
you know, but it's. I think it's just it all stems from this one secret right here. You know.
Yeah.
Because that worked that way, then they think they can get away with everything. I think they overplayed their hand with COVID.
Absolutely. Well, I guess, to wrap it up on a positive note, be kind to one another. Love thy neighbor. I know that's religiously charged, but it's in there for a reason. It's one of the 10 commandments for a reason.
Yeah.
And just remember that the person next to you, even though maybe they're an asshole or something, they're having a rough day because of another thing. It's easy to forget that.
Yeah, it is.
I fall into that sometimes where I realize I'm being unnecessarily, aggressive to somebody, and it's not because of anything truly that they did. It's because I'm in a bad mood because of something else that happened.
That's good of you to do that. Yeah, sometimes it's really important for us to observe ourselves and our emotions and how we're reacting, from outside of yourself. It's hard to do that, but it's important to do.
Definitely.
To reflect. But yeah, and on good note, I think we're still doing well with this. The debunkers are frantic. Just to say
they are.
Going crazy, going down their own rabbit holes and conspiracies, which is fun to watch. I'm excited to see what it brings of this, and hopefully it'll be good.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's it. Let's wrap up. That is Adam over there. I want to believe Adam. I am Topher. Haven't come up with a nickname yet. Topher. This has been the Uncovering Anomalies podcast.
Yes.
We thank you all so much for listening. And actually, I want to say, well, first of all, we would really appreciate your feedback, whether it's reviews on Skype or on Twitter, any place you want to reach us. Feel free to reach out. Oh, you can find us at UAP the podcast on Twitter, and I am Topher. It's all on Twitter.
That's right.
And
we're all platforms. We're on Apple, we're on Google, we're on Spotify, we're on Stitcher. I saw a lot of Stitcher listeners from there.
Nice.
So leave us feedback, share, and even if it's bad feedback, we'd listen to it. And
we really do. I mean, we want to make the show as great as possible. We want people. We want to. I was about to say we want to cater to everybody, but that's not possible.
No.
But we want to make the podcast as good as possible. And also,
exactly.
I'm kind of putting this on you blind, but if you've got some cool fan art for the show, or if you're a musical artist and want some if you want to put your music on the show, exposure, thank you. If you want to put your music on the show, I'll put up for the outro music and we'll make sure to credit you. I think that'd be kind of fun.
That's a good idea. Exactly. Get it out there.
Yeah, because I know your daughter has done some cover art. I don't want to say cover art; that's not the right word. But art for the show.
Thumbnail art. Yeah, thumbnail. When you share it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, I think it was a great show, and buckle up. That's right. Greer tomorrow, Monday, is having the briefing.
It's always on Mondays.
Disclosure. Disclosure 2.0. The briefing's happening tomorrow. I've been listening to the whistleblowers yesterday and today.
Yeah,
I think
actually,
it's gonna be crazy.
You know what? We knew this was gonna be a long show. Why don't you go ahead and tell me about because you did yesterday and today. I want to hear how that went.
Yeah. So
and tell me what it was first of all.
Okay. So first of all, this is Stephen Greer's Disclosure Conference 2.0. The last one was in 2001 when he had all these whistleblowers, government whistleblowers, come forth in front of the National Press Club, and ex-intelligence officers, Army, all of them. They all came out with their eyewitness testimony one by one, said their tidbit, and then said, I will, testify in Congress. Now, we all know after that 9/11 happened. So that effort was completely derailed and gone. But now he's back. And they started on Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday he had Michael Schratt. Do you know him?
I do not. Sorry, you caught me in mid vape.
It's okay. So Michael Schratt, he's a historian, UFO historian, really well respected. He knows his stuff. What he also does, he illustrates and does 3D renderings of eyewitness testimony. So he takes a lot of these things from the Stringfield books and notes, and he did a great presentation yesterday on that. Like an hour presentation. He took not case by case, but he like took some cases, told the stories, did the 3D renderings, and he only chose basically real extraterrestrial ones, the really bizarre ones. But like how the U.S. government had tried to get into these things using lasers and diamond tip drills and I don't know what, and he just proven one after the other how long this has been going on and how they have advanced because of doing this. Just crazy stuff to watch and listening to. So I do have that video, by the way. I'll put it up on one of our channels and you can watch it.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be great.
Then some new whistleblowers came out. So we'll hear more of them tomorrow, though.
Of course, it's Monday.
Yeah.
Day after we record.
Now, a lot of people are thinking that the debrief thing came out. The pressure to come out was because of Greer. That might be something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, Greer is definitely a polarizing person.
Yeah. UFO Twitter doesn't like him, which
and I think they've got good reason not to.
Yeah.
But overall, the more people that come forward, that's always a good thing. Also, if you want to come forward and talk to us, some lowly podcasters, please do.
We will protect you.
Yeah. we won't use your, if you don't want, we won't use your actual name. We're pretty good at that.
Yeah, we know what we're doing in that department.
All right, cuz, you got anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening to the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. This has been episode 25. I still can't say the name of the podcast. It's embarrassing.
We'll get there.
And we will see you all next week.
Yes. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.